Thank you, Pastor Bill. Well, I am Chris Dietsche from Oasis Community Church in little Wausau, Wisconsin. Where's my Michigan people? They can't say it. Wausau. And just a little bit of background real quick, just so you guys know, I actually have over 10 years of experience in digital marketing for a Fortune 500 company, mostly with online stuff, so websites, things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of dovetailing on what Josh said, why do you need to do this and how do you do it, right? Because it's not really, it seems like it's mysterious to a lot of us, right? And we'll make sure that we make our slides available as well. So Pablo, why don't you hit the next slide for me? Let's just go over a couple statistics first right away. These are just general internet website statistics, but they're relevant to us, right? 46% of people say that a website's design is the #1 criteria for determining the credibility of an organization. If you're not online, people don't think that you're credible. That's just how it is nowadays today. You know, when we first started talking about getting a website, we got a lot of our younger people together and we said, what do we need? And one of them said, a website. If you don't have a website, I don't think you're real. I don't think you exist. Nobody looks in the yellow pages anymore for you. Nobody looks at those things. They look online. I mean, Google has become a verb now. You just Google it, right? So interestingly enough, the amount of website usage has gone up, and it's just going to continue to go up. Only 10% of people nowadays say they'd never access the internet. This is worldwide. This is not just, this is interesting. And of those 10% of people, only 1/4% under the age of 50 never use the internet. So we're looking to go into all the world, right? Reach the next generation. This is where we need to be, because this is where they're at. You know, I'm a fisherman. You got to go where the fish are. That's the reality of it. And some of us that maybe we don't understand this, find somebody that can help you out, find somebody that can teach you, and we'll talk about some of those tools as we get going on a little bit later, because there are tools that will help you make it a little bit easier. I'm not the most tech-savvy person either. Switch to the next slide here, Pablo. So let's look at a couple just general church statistics here as well. This is interesting. 33% of people said the internet was the first place that they learned about their church. You know, when we travel, I mean, we always try to see other churches and visit other ministries and all that. The first place I look is I go to Google. I don't look at the little brochures that are in the hotel rooms anymore. And that's great if you're doing that. I'm not saying it's not effective, but most people are looking online. I mean, we all carry a miniature computer in our pocket now. I actually have 2 of them, right? And so this is where people are. 46% of church attenders said that a church's website was important in picking their church to visit. And that's from 2012, so it's gone up since then. And 49% of all giving now occurs digitally. You know, we talk about the importance of, again, staying with the times and all of that. I mean, you have to keep up with technology. Otherwise, you're not going to be reaching people effectively. And that's really what we want. Let's go to the next slide here, Pablo. 80% of new visitors head to a church's website before they step into its building, because they want to find out what you're about. I mean, we have people all the time that said, I found you online. I saw you online. I heard about you, you know, and I checked you out, and yeah, I decided to visit. This next one here is interesting. In the last 12 months, over 17 million American adults who do not regularly attend a worship service, they visited the website of a local church or a place of worship. Wow. People are out there looking for these things. You know, Google statistics say that every month there's 30,000 Google searches about online church and online sermons. People are looking for this stuff. I mean, you know, I still have cassette tapes at home, arguably, Brother Hagin and some of those things. But honestly, anytime I want to listen to a teaching by Brother Hagin, I go to YouTube. Yeah, we do too. That's what I do. They're all out there now. Yeah. You can find all of this stuff digitally. There's no need to have, you know, what we call analog and things like this now. But see, this is where the people are. And so we need to learn how to have a presence out there. And it can seem really daunting. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have a website for your ministry or church? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I looked at some of them this morning, because I know some of you, and some are good. You guys are doing a good job, and some are not so good. Brady's. He's told me that, so I can pick on him a little bit. I could pick on him a little bit. But I mean, it's true because, see, this is the thing. This is where people go and they judge you based on what your web presence looks like. And that will determine whether or not they listen to you. Now, see, maintaining a website used to be really, really difficult. How many of you, by another show of hands, when you first started your website, it was over 10 years old, 10 years ago that you started your website? Okay, good portion of you. It's changed a lot since then. It is not like it used to be. It used to be you had to hire somebody who knew what they were doing because it was like, speaking Greek, basically. They had to set it up for you. And then in a lot of cases, if you didn't know what you were doing, you either had to pay somebody to maintain it for you, or you had to have them teach you. Pablo, hit the next slide. This is what websites used to look like. Now, I can read that because, again, that's what I've done for a living. But see, if you don't know what you're doing, you look at that and you go, I have no idea what that means. That snippet of, it's called code, that snippet of code there displays images is what it does. That's all it does, very simple. But see, things have changed. It's no longer like this. And we have to keep up with the times because, again, people are looking at this. So we have things nowadays that are called website editors. You can go out there and get them. They're fairly inexpensive. We use one called Wix, and we'll demonstrate that at the end here. It's about a 5-minute video. I couldn't do a live one, so we've got a video recording of it. But there are website editors that you can go out, and basically it's drag and drop, plug and play, whatever you want to call it. You just put the stuff where you want it, and it does all of this for you. It makes your life easy. You don't have to have somebody who understands HTML. You don't have to have somebody that understands JavaScript or any of these types of things. You don't even have to have, again, like Josh was saying, you don't even have to have the best equipment nowadays. You know what we do for our website, because you want really nice images and things like that, we talk to local people who actually take photographs of the city. Chances are you probably have somebody who is a photographer in your city that has pretty decent equipment. Talk to them and say, can I use your material? Most of them are more than willing to get their stuff public. You could put a little source by or credit by out there. It's not difficult to do, people. See, but you know what? If we don't get with this and if we don't start maintaining a better presence online, our churches are not going to grow and we're not going to be able to reach people effectively. Because you saw some of the statistics from social media. This is where people are. You know, it's interesting because some late statistics say that most younger people now, they have an attention span lower than that of a goldfish. It's true. They jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But see, it's all online. Because, see, there's so much content out there, you have to make your content stand out. I mean, literally, anything you want. My kids have never grown up, and my oldest is 10. She has never grown up and not known what the internet is. Yeah. I mean, but the internet's been around since the 90s. We're a little bit behind the ball on some of these things. All right, let's talk about how do we do some of this. Let's go over to the next slide here, Pablo. So these are website editors. These are some of the best ones. Like I said, we use Wix, GoDaddy, Squarespace. And again, I'll make these slides available so you don't have to write them all down. Web.com, Weebly. You can see some of these other ones out there. There's a ton of them. And they're not that expensive. We do Wix. It's $22 a month. And that's it. We signed up for 3 years and we got a discount. So it's not expensive to do. And like I said, they will do all of this for you. They will make it easy. You don't have to really do a ton of maintenance. It's basically you put your stuff in, you type what you want to type, you press load, and it's out there. Now, one of the other things that I would say is you have to maintain them. Because again, going back to how many of you had a website started and then, the content got stale. The content needs to be refreshed on a regular basis. We talked to wherever Josh is, you heard him say, you have to post new content on a regular basis. Well, that's how websites work. How many of you guys, when you Google something and you see like the list of top pages, how many of you actually go beyond the first page when you're looking for something? Not many of you. That's called SEO, search engine optimization is what it's called. And essentially, it ranks the top people based on the relevancy of their content. And that comes with how relevant to the search you are and how often do you maintain that content. And so if your content's really old, it's going to keep getting pushed further and further and further and further down. And you're not going to be reaching people then. And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To reach people. I mean, like Josh was saying, you post a 3-minute video or 5-minute video or whatever you do. You know what people are more likely to do when you do that? They check out your website. I saw Pastor Bill preaching. I went to his website. It's the first thing I did after I watched his sermon. Went to his website. All right. So these are the new modern HTML editors. What we're going to do here real quick is we're going to play a video here. Pablo, you got that loaded up? I couldn't do this live, otherwise I would have done it, just to show you how easy it is. So I created a really basic homepage, and I had to record it because we couldn't do it live here, in like 5 minutes. Now, our church webpage took us a little bit longer because we added a bunch of bells and whistles and some things like that, but the whole thing only took me on our website a couple hours. And we spend, like Josh, I spend about 10 minutes a week just updating some things, and that's it. Sometimes not even that long. It's pretty quick. And all of our things, the other thing that I would say too is not only is this for the people, the unsaved and those type of people we're trying to reach, it's for our church people as well. Yes. They come out there all the time to see what events are going. There's a word in the company that I work with and marketing in general. It's called omni-channel. This is really kind of where the wave of the future is going, is people no longer want to interact with your company or your brand, or in this case, your ministry or church. They don't just want to interact with you on Sundays when they see you. They want to interact with you on their phone, on YouTube, on social, on your website, whenever they want. They want to be able to get content on demand. And so we need to really start providing that for them. That's what this next generation is expecting. Right or wrong, right? Because sometimes a lot of us will say, well, you know what, I will sit and watch a Brother Hagin teaching for 2 hours on YouTube, and I will do that. But a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people won't do that. I'll come and I'll sit for hours in a service and just absorb the word. A lot of people won't do that, and so they want to view us online. We've had people that have viewed our messages online that would never set foot in our church. Yeah. I mean, people that surprised me when I heard out who they were. Relatives of my wife's even. Right? But I mean, it's true. They'll interact online, but they may not necessarily interact in person. And in a lot, the other thing too is with people's schedules nowadays and everything being 24/7, all that, a lot of people are traveling and they want a way to interact with their church, their home, local ministry. They want a way to interact with them when they're not there. And so we need to step it up and really start providing this content for them. So Pablo, if you've got the video there, and it's got audio with it, so I'm going to be quiet and let it narrate.
So I'm going to do a real quick demo of how easy it is to create your own website using an editor, somewhat like Wix. I'm logged into my account here. I've got a couple sites created, and that's one of the benefits is you can create multiple sites and then turn them on and off as you want them. So let's just create a new site here. I'm just going to select the business site. It gives you a bunch of other kind of options there. So you can either answer some questions and let Wix create the website for you, or you can choose a website editor where you can either go off a template, or in this case, I'm just going to go a completely blank slate and start from scratch, create my own website. So while this is loaded up here, I have a couple images in a folder here that I've got set ready. We're going to use some of those images to just quickly create something from scratch here. And using a tool like this, it really doesn't take very long. It's really basically drag and drop. So you've got your header, your footer, and your main body, and you've got your pages set up over here. So let's start by adding a couple different pages. We've got a home page. We'll add an About Us page, and then let's add a media page. And then let's also add, say, a giving page. Okay, and then let's click on this header here. We can click Change Header Design, and we can pick like a theme that we like. I like that tan, so let's change that. And we'll do the same thing with the footer. I like that tan. I think that's kind of nice. So we'll add in that. Now I want to come in here, and I want to add a menu. I like the top one. That looks good. So I'm literally just going to drag it out of there and drag it into the top. And you'll see it right here, and we can rearrange it. I'm listed on the giving page, so you see it highlights whatever page I'm on, and it'll basically just add whatever pages you keep adding. If I keep adding more pages here, it'll keep adding more to the top. So let's come on in here. Let's add a logo. So let's add an image, and let's upload a couple images here right away. So you can upload your own images. They do have some stock images you can use. So I'm just going to add some images of my hometown. We'll just drag some of these over here, and I probably could have grabbed them all at once, but that's okay. So let's grab this guy. This is my church logo. So we're going to grab that, and since I'm going to put this up in the top here, I'm going to shrink it down, and you see, once I get it a little bit smaller here, it asks me if I want to attach it to the header, and yeah, I do. So now it'll remain as part of my header up here. So let's put it up a little bit higher. And you can do other things with your header too, like if I want to come in here and say settings, I like a header that freezes. Do I want it where it disappears when I scroll? So we'll just do that for now. Now let's add some content in here. So I'm going to add, and let's do something interactive. This one looks good. So this is a full page one. And you see where the blue is, that's where I'm dragging and dropping it. So I'm going to drop it right below my header that I set up there. And you see it's 1 of 3. So I'm going to go change slide background. And let's select an image. And let's just do that one. I like that background image. And then we'll go to slide number 2, and let's go image. And let's do this one. I like that one. And then let's go slide number 3 and click image. And let's set up this hot air balloon one. And so there we go. So they're all set up here. I can click on these text here. I can drag them anywhere I want. I can click edit text, and I can type in whatever I want within there. And then the other thing that's kind of neat about this is, so this is what my website will look like. If I want to edit mobile specific, I can just click up here and see this is what it would look like. And it'll give you a little demo. This is what it would look like on a mobile phone. So it automatically converts your navigation to like a mobile-friendly navigation, basically. So let's go back here. We've quickly done a website. Let's just click preview. And so you can see exactly what the website will look like. As I scroll down, I've got some sort of navigation here, and you see it's a rotator, so I can do all sorts of things here. And then I've got a footer that I haven't really added anything to, and a basic header up here. And you could basically just keep doing this. You go back and forth, you keep adding in different elements. So you can come in here and say, maybe I want to add I don't know, add some sort of box here. And you just drag it out, and you say, okay, I want to add it right afterwards. And it'll basically just insert it and keep pushing everything else down. So it's really that simple. It's not very difficult at all. Wix makes it very, very easy, and really anybody can maintain a website now.
Feel like I should have gotten commission from Wix for saying that. But I mean, it's true. So website editors make all of this really, really easy nowadays. You can go out there, just upload your images. Like I said, they have a lot of stock photography and things you can do. But I mean, honestly, cameras even on your phones take pretty good images right now. So you could just take snap. I mean, we did that at a campfire. We had a campfire night. I needed an image of a campfire. I just took out my phone and took a picture of it. We use it on our website. Looks beautiful. And so it's really very simple to do. You basically just do that for every page that you want out there. Just start dragging stuff, adding content. You can click and add links to it. There's all sorts of different things you can do. So it's very, very simple. It's very affordable. There's no reason for us not to be in this space right now, because this is where people are. This is kind of the future. Amen? That's all I got. I think it's up to you now, Pastor Bill.
Give Chris a hand.
Thank you, Lord. Well, listen, I'm Bill Villapiano. I pastor Faith Fellowship in Houston, Missouri. I serve on the executive support team, and I'm also a regional director for the Midwest. You know that, understand that this morning it's all practical information. And as we transition tomorrow, you're going to hear a lot about the Word and the Spirit. But let me just share some things to put these things into context. You know, there would be no Reformation if it wasn't for the printing press. So it was technology that catapulted the Reformation. There would have been no revolution in the United States if it had not been for tracts talking about liberty and freedom and tyranny. Where would the healing revival be without the Voice of Healing magazine? And where would the Word of Faith been without cassette tapes? See, communicating the gospel is one of the most important things that you and I do as ministers of the gospel. And how we communicate it, listen, don't say I don't like it. It's just necessary. Could you imagine, again, saying, one of the apostles saying, oh gosh, it's such a bother to have to write all this down. Ministries, it's spelled. Remember, if you ever went to Rhema, Ken Jr. would say, ministry is spelled W-O-R-K. All right? That's a fair Ken. I'm only a member of AFCM, so I'm not in trouble. Nonetheless, again, so we want to talk about the communication strategies. I'm going to talk about some things that we use in ministry that helps us. And so, I've got lots of groups, you got lots of groups to speak with in ministry. And pastoring a church, we have multiple different departments or teams that we have to speak with. And how we speak with them is, just enormously important. I like Ed Cole. Ed Cole said this: communication is the basis for life. Most of the trouble I've been with, and Jim, you'll testify to this, most of the time when we get in trouble with ministry is because we haven't adequately communicated with the people that we work with. I've had more people frustrated with me over the years, all right? And so I've worked at it. I'm not a guy that is given to want to do these kind of things. But again, I want to be successful. And I want to adequately communicate. And I don't want to frustrate the people who work so hard around about me. And so, again, I've given quite a bit of attention to this. We've had several young faces up here, so this is evidence that an old face can do this too. I don't like saying I'm old, though, Michael. No, I really don't. And here, I love this slide. I love this slide about the Indian. You know what I'm saying? That, some of us are still sending smoke signals, but you can get something up in the air one way or another. So, nonetheless, one gentleman said this: the problem with communication is the illusion that it's been accomplished. When everybody got an email list, don't you? Got an email list, and so we think we send out an email and we think we've communicated with people. But you know what the truth is? Most people don't open their email. Right. You're knocking your head against the wall. You say, why do I send emails? Because people don't open them. So you got to know who, again, we've said this several times this morning, who is your audience? Now, I've shared any number of times over the last few years, and let me tell you, I can talk about other things besides practical ministries. It just seems like these kind of things end up falling to me. I really do like to preach. But nonetheless, I got to know who I'm speaking to. Now, over the years, you've heard me say before that we really have lowered the demographic age in our church. Now, we've got folks, all the way from, we're celebrating a lady in our church that has served in our children's ministry for 35 years. She's been there as long as me. 35. She'll be 90. She's in children's church every Sunday. And so we're going to make a big hoopla, and she's going to look at me and she's going to say, kid, this was not necessary. Right? Now, here's the wonderful thing. We can post it all over social media because she'll never see it. But Miss Marge is the only woman in Texas County that's not going to see it. You understand, she'll have a friend or two, but she's outlived most of them. She's a dear lady. Dear lady, They said, what should we get her for her birthday? And, thinking all these nice things. I said, you could get her a new chain for her chainsaw. And I'm not kidding. One day she's coming to church, the wind had blew a tree down across her road. She went back to the house, got the chainsaw, cut the tree out of the road, come on to church. She was 89. That happened this year. Who are you communicating with? Well, let me just talk about some things. Many of you be pretty familiar with this, but let me talk about why we would use it. We're talking about ways that we communicate. So you know that we've got like leadership threads. And so one of the things that we would use for leadership threads, and you're going to see we use multiple different things, and again, you got to know who you're speaking to. And so to be able to, to speak with leadership within the church, so let's say our youth ministry, let's say our MOPS group, mothers of preschoolers. Let's say that it's our women's ministry. It's called She Ministry. Let me say that maybe that it might be our creative team. So for them, we have a thread. And we'll use Messenger. Messenger, once again, it's readily available. Now, here's the reasons I like to use Messenger. And there's lots of other things that you can use out there. But again, it's tied to a lot of other things that we're doing. And so we'll use Facebook Messenger. And this is why I like it. That I know, all right, as a pastor, who the guy who is ultimately going to be responsible if we've not adequately communicated, I'm going to know it instantly when they get the message. Because it will show me who saw it. They'll show me who saw it. They can't tell me, Michael, they didn't see it because I got their picture. Their picture's right there on Messenger. I know you saw it, Jesse. Don't pull my leg.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I got your picture. I'll show it to you. Yeah? All right, I'm a little... I'd really rather preach.
Yeah, you would. Let it go. Let it go, Bill. Don't hold back.
It's wonderful. You can use it on any device. You can use it on your iPad, all right, or your tablet, whatever lesser platform that you use. I said that for one friend in particular. And so nonetheless, you can get it on your tablet, you can get it on your phone, you get it on your computer. And again, when you're working with a younger demographic, all right, yeah, and a lot of times, that within the church we are. Now, I do not send Messenger to Leon Slape. Leon Slape doesn't, I'm not saying he couldn't, but that's not the platform that I'm going to communicate with him. But again, I know my audience. All right? But once again, so I'm saying if I'm speaking to the creative team, that when it's posted there, I know who sees it. They get it on any device, and they're the kind of people that's there. They're at work. I don't really want to interfere with their work. But it's not like when everybody's got a phone and all of a sudden everybody's phone is blowing up. Ding, 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 ding. Because they can just push, you can do a poll on there. Let's say that we're trying to say, okay, we're trying to plan maybe an event like for Miss March. It's her 90th birthday. And so we can post some ideas on there, and all they have to do is hit a thumbs up, and not everybody's phone blows up. Or sometimes, let's say we're creating a brand new T-shirt. Well, they can take a poll. Do you like this T-shirt or do you not like it? And everybody's phone's not dinking. They're at work. We've not interfered with their work. We haven't, we've not been intrusive. And so, once again, you can respond to every device many times without their phone blowing up. And then I like that for this reason. When we're meeting a lot of times, and even when I'm in a meeting in different places, that we'll use Messenger. And so you can post an idea where everybody can see it on their phone right then. A lot of times, we're doing something like this and we're using a screen. But if everybody's sitting in a room and they got a device, we'll post an idea. Our last artwork is called, our last message called Altitude. And so we're looking for how we're going to communicate this message visually. All right? How are we going to communicate it visually? And and again, just so much of what we learned today, is just done in a visual format. So as we were doing that, people just start posting different pictures, and we can all see them right there at the same time. And so we often use Messenger. Let me move along. I got a lot to say. We've only got so much time to do it. Then we talk about email, and email still is a very viable source. We only send something if we want it to be special, unique. Do we send anything in the mail anymore? Our mail budget has gone from being significant to being pretty small, and if you're spending a lot of money mailing stuff, you really need to rethink it. But I'll go back to Miss Marge again. It's her 90th birthday. For her 90th birthday, that's special. All right? So you got a real invitation in the mail because it's a special event. But we do send a lot of emails, and even among leadership, let's say that we're having a leadership meeting, and we have one about every other month where we bring all the leaders in the church together, and we talk about where we're going, or I'm trying to pass something along at this point in the ministry with them. And so we use a mail service, and this is great for a lot of things. We use MailChimp. Now there's other good things out there that you could use, but we use MailChimp. Now I like MailChimp, first of all, because it's free. All right, that's always good. Free always works for me. You get 1,000 subscribers for nothing, and you can produce magazine quality stuff. All right, so you can take your newsletter, you can drop it into MailChimp, put your pictures in, and again, lay it out. They've got templates already built into it, much like Wix. There's a template, and it's even simpler than Wix is, but it's just easy. And you just drop a picture in, write your article underneath. AFCM uses MailChimp these days, but here's the other thing I like about MailChimp, is that everybody in that list, so let's say that we've got 60 volunteers that we've sent emails to. I am going to know by the end of the day who looked at their email and who didn't. Because it tells me, first of all, that it was delivered. If it's not delivered, I got to bounce. It comes back. Well, we know we got a bad email address, but you understand, with this group of people, we've been working with them long enough, I'm not going to get it back. But if it was bad, it would bounce. I'd get it back. But then when they open it, it shows up. They've opened the email. Now, I love things that creates accountability. We're back to the thing, they cannot tell me I didn't get it. I know they got it, and then I can say, we sent you an email. They said, well, I didn't see it. I said, well, that's because you didn't look. Open your email. And so, and I'll tell you it's true within AFCM leadership. We started doing this several years ago, and we use this, and people can't tell us no more, Desi, I didn't open it. Or I didn't see it. They can't tell us we didn't see it. And our opens on AFCM, I'm certain, are up. Yeah, because people know that, that they're going to be accountable when they receive their email. Well, the same thing's true in my church leadership. They're going to open their emails. Why? Well, they know that we can see whether or not they did or didn't. And accountability is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Right? So you know who opened them. And once again, you get 1,000 free subscribers. And so that's quite a few. I got several lists, and we've not maxed it out. And so I would say that you could probably manage a church of 300 to 400 people and use the free service. And even if you had to pay for it, it's not very much. Then we use this, so we're talking about how do we communicate with one another? How do we communicate with leadership? How do we communicate how do we talk to the community? Some of these things do multiple things, kind of like the website. I like to say this about websites. Websites is a window into your ministry or your church. It's a way for people to look in. And what they see on your website is a reflection of what you are. And that's why you want that thing to be sharp. And so let me talk about another way to communicate both with your church family and with the community. Now, if you pastor a church, you just know this is the truth. Anybody who can ever figure out the golden egg for retention of visitors, all right? You could get rich, and everybody in the world would love you. It's retention of visitors is a tough deal. And we use something called Text in Church, and all I can tell you is it's helped. It's not solved it, but it's helped. Well, if something helps, sign me up. I'm on board. I wished it solved it. But here's what Text in Church. So somebody comes to church, and we've got a little welcome center. We're not a great big church, but we got a cute little welcome center there, set up with a nice little iPad, and they come in, and they sign up. And, and we're going to give them a free T-shirt because we want their information. If you listen to me, people visit your church, you don't get their information, you've made no legitimate attempt to connect with them. You cannot communicate the gospel with people you don't connect with. So we use Text in Church. They go to our nice little welcome center. They fill out their name. They put on their email address. Some of those people can even remember their address. They put their address in there. We like to get their telephone number. And then that's about it. But what happens is that automatically Monday morning, now for years, we've always sent a letter. We've always said thank you for coming. And we would endeavor to call them. How many people have found out when you call the cell number, nobody answers? Am I right, Leon? Give me a witness now. All right. But now a text is less invasive. And so they get a text, all right? And so it says, thank you for coming. Now, here's a wonderful thing. Text in church is going to track my visitor for the next 27 days. They got a text on Monday thanking them for coming. On Friday, they're going to get an email saying, we look forward to seeing you Sunday morning, and our message is. And so we've encouraged them once again to come back. And so over the next several weeks, they're going to continue to be communicated with. Now, if we're unable to make a connection, we're not going to drive them crazy forever, but at least we've made a legitimate attempt. Now, that's not to say we still don't make a live call. We still make a live call, but what did I say? So many times we attempt to make that live call, nobody is on the other end, or they don't answer it. They don't recognize their number. They think that you're one of those fake phone calls trying to sell them more insurance or get them another credit card. So nonetheless, that we do this, once again, it tracks and it communicates with first-time visitors. Now, here's another thing that Text in Church is great about. We use it in relationship to, let's say that this week we've got about 5 or 6 people that's going to be in the nursery. They're volunteers. They're not the one leading it, but this is their week. You do this week, and they do the second week, and she does the third week, and they do the fourth week. Well, it's set up for week 1, 2, 3, and the months that there's a fifth. It's set up, and they're going to get a text that week reminding them, because what's worse than to get to church on Sunday and for the director or the leader of our faith kids to find out that their volunteers didn't know that it was their week to serve. So they'll get a text, and it'll come to them. It'll remind them once again of their opportunity to be able to serve that week. Then you have times you just have an emergency. We just went through the winter. Now, I even know up here in Minnesota, you guys are hardy folks, man. I know sometimes, and they're beating the snow off of things to get to church. But you guys have even canceled a few services this year. Well, in the Midwest, if it snorts snow, they think they got to cancel, okay? But you understand, we got hills and we got valleys, and you're not driving on long flat roads. Everything's up, everything's down, and everything's around. So you do have to be careful when you are or aren't going to have church, because you never want to have church and have somebody find themselves in an accident because they were just trying to get church. But what we do is that when the weather's bad, just instantly, we just, used to, if the weather was bad, I'd be out at the church at 6:30 in the morning trying to make a decision. All right, is the weather going to break? Is it too bad? But now we can wait until 9 o'clock in the morning for a 10:30 service, and at 9 o'clock we can't have church. We send out a text. Everybody in the church gets it instantly. Now, Text in Church is not free, but it's worth the $40 a month, and you get 1,500. That's a lot of text. 1,500 texts in 1 month. I think that just this last month was the first time we went over, and that's because we had a lot of people who visited from Easter. They were still in the system, and I think it cost us an extra $10 because we went over that particular month. But it's the only time in the 2.5, 3 years that we've used Text in Church that we went over. But once again, we're using it on multiple levels. It communicates with first-time visitors. It lets volunteers know when they're going to serve. This week we'll use Text in Church. I go back to Miss Marge and her 90th birthday. Everybody in the church will get a text reminding them it's Mrs. Marge's 90th birthday. Somebody served your church for 90 years. People should show up and celebrate with her. And so once again, you're just able to use it. We're able to communicate with leadership. We're able to communicate with volunteers. And we're able to communicate with the community, those first-time visitors. Now I'd like to show you something else. That I've had people ask me, they see that we stream online, and this is not what I'm doing, but if I didn't already have a video system, this is what I'd be using in an app. It's called It's called Swisher Studio. I'm gonna click mine on here. I'm gonna make just a little change because I'm gonna turn my iPad around and I'm gonna let everybody see this. You being able to stream online today, in this day and time, is probably the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing that you probably be able to do. All right. Let me go to this. Michael, if you can kind of sit on the end here. When this thing comes up, you pointed at it. You're our videographer. Miss June will be a videographer. Okay. Oh yes, you are the guy. I know you can do it. And so you just here in a second. So I got an iPad. This app is on that. This app is on that. That app is on my iPad. You can't have 3 cameras. I've shot AFCM ITC with this. It cost me all of $11.99 for the app. Now, if you're going to stream it to Facebook or YouTube, it's a little bit different. Now, once again, I'm not practiced this. This is just really this easy to do. All right? I tried to practice it this morning, and I'll be honest, at the Hilton, but it wouldn't let me connect. So I got my iPad. This is a switcher. Anytime you're videoing, something's got to be a switcher. So we're using the iPad. This is to connect my phone. In just a second, Michael will get a message, and he'll click on it, allow, and hope we have good enough signal to be able to do it. I see it's still spinning. All right. And just as soon as his does, please work for us. This is life, isn't it? When you try to do something, it's too busy. All right. While that's doing that, let me show you. So hypothetically, let me flip this camera around. Can I? It won't make any difference. We'll just do it like this. So this would be the center camera at this point in time. There you go. Hit allow. Did you get it, Michael? All right, Miss June. All right, we're just going to use the 2 cameras, just for the lack of time. All right, so you can see that Michael's got the back of my head. But let's say that you've got 3 cameras set up. You've got a teenager. Did I say teenager? I said teenager. A teenager can do this. A teenager will do a better job than you and I could do this. You put a teenager at the back of the room, all right, and they'll say, "Whoa, here's Pastor Bill. He's in center camera." And so they'll click over here. They'll go to center camera. Let's say they want to zoom in on Pastor Bill. Well, they just zoom in on him, all right? Let's say they want to go back to the center camera. You just click on it. Now, if you buy the one that we're showing you, Switcher Studio, all right, there's a monthly cost. I think the monthly cost is $29 a month. For $29 a month, you can stream it straight, all right? It'll stream straight from your iPad to Facebook Live. Now, when you do this, so you get it. That's pretty simple. Understand that we got a system here that's under demand. They're streaming online, and let's go ahead and turn off. They're streaming online, and we don't want to use up any bandwidth here. But the deal is, if you've got at least about the 3 Mbps, that's 3 megabytes per second, all right? That's, in this day and time, that's not great internet, but that would be adequate to stream online. Now, here's the deal. You got no wires. When I put a video system in, I stuck a 16-year-old teenager up in the attic and locked the door. And pushed wires up to him. You know what I'm saying? He's crawling all over the attic trying to hook up these cameras. And it works wonderful. We got a nice system, but we stream in standard def because I don't have good enough internet where we're at to be able to stream this in HD. And so, once again, no wires, 1 iPad, 3 iPhones. And you could stream every week, and it'd be sharp. You understand? You're talking about HD, it'd be sharp. And so if what you're saying is you think it's valuable, you believe it's important, and of course we do. $29 a month. I speak to Nepal. I speak to Kenya. I speak to Great Britain. I speak to South America. And 18 U.S. states. I'll have anywhere from, 190 to 215 on Sunday morning. Online, we will have anywhere from 235 to 300. It cost us $0. Now, we're doing it for $0 because we just stream ours on that it's the standard def, okay? But let's say I was paying for $29 a month, connecting with people around the world. It stays on Facebook. They watch it throughout the week. Would you like to reach men? 68% of the people who watch me online are men. Men who probably don't go to church. 68% of the people who watch online are men. So I'm going to close with that. We've about come to a close here. Let me tell you this. This is my last thought. Proverbs 20:12 says that the Lord has given us eyes to see and ears to hear. We talk about communicating, all right? It's seeing, it's hearing. A lot of this stuff that we're talking about is very visual. 83% of what people learn is visual. 83% of what they learn is visual. This would be a great investment of your time. You don't have to do it all. I don't do text in church. Somebody in the church does it. I'll be careful. I'll just say one of my church secretaries that does a lot of this, she's older than I am. And she does it. All right? Technology is not something you can't grasp. All right? If you don't know how to do it, what do? Go to YouTube. Google it. Go to YouTube, and there's step-by-step instruction. Once again, there's things all the time. When we put that camera system in our church, I had never run Cat 5 cable in my life. Never ran Cat 5 cable. I bought a tool to cut Cat 5 cable with, and I made every one of the connections, and every one of them still works. Well, once again, it wasn't rocket science. All you had to do was watch somebody do it. So thank you for your time. It's time for lunch. Let's stand together. We'll pray.